thank you very much for having us today to talk about some of the instructional resources that we've built for the AP program this coming year. This is a very untraditional year in many aspects, as everybody knows, and our team has been working around the clock to develop the right tools and resources to support teachers in any way that they may be teaching students this year, from face-to-face, hybrid learning, or full virtual. And the tools that we started to build last year with the new AP model have allowed us to connect directly with teachers and students in a way that we've never been able to do before. And so this year, we're really excited to show how the tools built from last year can really help at this particular time of need that schools, the challenges that teachers and educators are having to connect with students, and some of the new videos and modules that we've established to be able to connect, measure student learning in real time, be able for teachers to provide really strong formative feedback and continue student confidence throughout the course of the year in whichever manner they're receiving their education. So with that, let me turn it over to my friend and colleague, Claire Lorenz, in our AP program, who's been leading a lot of these efforts behind the scenes and developing many of the programs and the tools that you're going to see today. And Claire, let me hand it off, and thanks for joining us and being able to share some of these great resources and tools with the folks in Missouri.
Thanks, Hoor. Super happy to be here, and thank you for that lovely introduction. So as Hoor mentioned, I'm Claire Lorenz, and I work on the AP instruction team at the College Board. Our team has largely been responsible for building the instructional resources that started to become available in the 2019-2020 school year, and is working on some of the newer instructional resources that have started to become available for the 2020-2021 school year. So I'm hoping that this presentation today will answer any questions that you may have about our suite of instructional resources. But as always, if you have questions, we can certainly follow up with responses to get you the information that you need. So without further ado, we're going to keep the slideshow presentation portion of this session short and sweet. We do want to tell you a little bit about how the resources are aligned to the instructional cycle and how the instructional resources can really be used in any learning environment, whether you are instructing online or you're instructing in a face-to-face setting or some hybrid model of those two. And then we're going to go live into AP Classroom, and we'll look at all of the digital resources that are available through the platform itself. And then, of course, there will be time for questions. So when we say built for any learning environment, I think it's important to kind of frame how we think about our instructional resources. We know that there's a lot that teachers do in order to get ready to actually deliver instruction in their classroom. And so when we think about an instructional delivery cycle, we think about it in terms of these 6 particular steps, anywhere from planning your lesson, teaching your lesson, having students practice what you taught, assessing what students have learned, getting feedback about your class's performance, and then giving feedback back to students. There's more that we know that goes with this, especially as you look to prepare students for the AP exam, but these are the major components of our instructional cycle. And I think it's important to mention that we have an instructional resource that is aligned to each stage in the instructional planning and delivery cycle. So if you were planning, you would look to use our unit guides. A lot of those are familiar to folks, especially if you have your own hard copy of the binder, the course and exam description. Our CEDs, our unit guides are inside of those. And once you're teaching your lesson, you can make use of our AP Daily videos, which are our newest resource that started to become available as of September 1st of this year. The topic questions are available as you endeavor to have students practice what you may have taught them in your own lesson or what they may have learned in an AP Daily video. And then at the end of each unit, the personal progress checks are our formative assessments that allow you to determine students' level of understanding of the course content and skills that have been presented during that unit. And then our class progress dashboard and student progress dashboard allow you to get information about your students' performance and their understanding of particular content and skills, but also allow you to give feedback to students so that they can embark on this ownership of their own learning, so that they can really understand where they may need to put in more effort and more study time versus where they might demonstrate a better understanding of what they've learned. So we want to keep these stages in mind and make sure that everybody understands that there is a resource aligned to each stage in this cycle. We can make sure that this slide becomes available to folks. It is very dense, so I don't want you to get nervous about what you're seeing on screen. But one of the things that you will notice on top is the repeating of this instructional cycle. So here we have that planning, teaching, practicing, assessing, getting and giving feedback in that continual instructional delivery cycle. And then there's other things that we've added here as well. When you start to prepare your students for the AP exam, the question bank is available for you to get and assign AP questions to your students, especially those that are aligned to particular content and skills where you know students may need a little bit more instruction and practice. And then also our available professional development as you continue to endeavor to figure out how to best use these resources within the context of your own classroom. We know you know your students the best, and while we may have some suggestions about how to use these resources, you may have other ideas that, and colleagues across the globe could also have different ideas that you may want to share and collaborate with each other. On the left-hand side, you will see that we've really tried to give you options about how you might use each of these individual resources, no matter what type of environment you find yourself in, whether that is an in-person instructional environment, an online instructional environment, or somewhere in between. I think it's important to note here that for certain resources, like the unit guides, it's not going to matter what learning environment you find yourself in. The way you're going to use the unit guides is going to be exactly the same. Unit guides help you sequence and pace your course so that content and skills are taught in a progressive way so that students are advancing from more foundational skills to more complex content and skills. So it's not going to matter the learning environment that you're in, whether you're in person, online, or some sort of hybrid blended model. But for other resources, it may depend on how you are seeing your students on a regular basis. So it may be that if you're in person, you want to use the AP daily videos in a different way than you would want to use them if you are strictly on an online environment. We know that you have more options when you're seeing your students on a daily basis. In an in-class environment, you can do things like set up learning stations, or you can have students complete things in class while you're differentiating instruction. That's a little bit harder to do online, and so you may use the daily videos in a different way. You may choose to have them be watched by students during asynchronous time rather than while you're actually with them. You also may choose to use the topic questions as a means to assess whether or not students actually understood what they learned in that particular video. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with this resource. I'm not going to go through every single resource on this slide. We'll make sure you get a copy of it, but suffice it to say that in some cases you're going to use the resource the same way, no matter how you are engaging with your students in this complex year. But in some cases, there might be some differences about how you use the resource. And so we wanted to make sure that you had a basis to at least start thinking about how you can make use of the resources. Are these the only ways you can use them? Absolutely not. But this will hopefully give you a way to, or a couple of ways to think about how you might. I also want to make sure, and again, we can make this slide available to folks, that we only have an hour together today, and we want to make sure that you're equipped with any additional information that you may want to read about in terms of using our online resources. And we know that you are probably going back to school in a variety of different ways. We have these one-pagers that are available on AP Central at the link on this slide, where you can read a little bit more about how you can possibly use each one of our instructional resources and align it to each stage in the instructional delivery cycle, whether you are in person, online, or some hybrid learning environment. So we wanted to let you know that these are available on AP Central if you want a takeaway from this presentation today. So without further ado, I think I am going to go over to AP Classroom. So let me bring up a window that has AP Classroom in it. So we will spend the rest of our time together today actually seeing this in live form. I think it's super helpful for you to be able to see it as it actually exists, rather than me showing just screenshots on a PowerPoint. So hopefully this will give you a way to situate what you are reading or what you're seeing. Please, please, please feel free when you're watching this to open up your own browser and follow along with your own course. I will use one particular course for the demonstration. It may mean more to you to follow along with the course that you you actually teach. So feel free to do that. I'll try to go slow enough to allow you to do that. So I'm going to log into to AP Classroom. I do that by going to myap.collegeboard.org. You're going to log in with your College Board username and password, not my username and password, your username and password. I'm going to hit submit, and you'll be taken to a personalized homepage of AP Central. This has changed since last year. You've probably realized that already if you've logged in at any point during the last couple of months. We've streamlined it a lot. I do want to point out that you will not have access to as many courses that I have access to here. I'm working with a demo account. You will only see the courses that you either taught last year or started the AP course audit process for this year. So that may only be one course. It may be multiple courses if you teach multiple AP courses. And you will see the icons that are that should be familiar to you based on your familiarization with the course and exam description. I also want to point out that there are helpful links here on the side so that you don't have to rely on bookmarks or Google to take you to places like the course audit, the teacher community, where you get your AP exam scores, professional development workshops, etc.
Hey Claire,
Yes, Hoor, go
as you're
ahead.
going through and highlighting the specific resources within EP Classroom, would you be able and be so kind enough to point out a couple different instances from an administrator's perspective, as well as what they would be able to see or how they could also use that as well, so we can talk to both audiences that way?
Absolutely.
Just throughout, just to make sure that we blend that in. Thank you.
Yep. No, Hoor, thank you for the reminder. I think it's important for that to kind of be said. I will say that administrators who do have AP Classroom access are going to see largely the same types of things that teachers will see. There will be some additional things that you will be able to see if you are a school-based administrator. You will be able to see across your several teachers in a particular course area. So if you have multiple calculus teachers, you'll be able to see information about them, whereas an individual calculus teacher is only going to be able to see information that is pertinent to their course and their students. And then obviously one level up from that, district administrators will be able to see details by schools within their district, and then also details within the school, just like a school principal would be able to see. But yes, I will point that out along the way. way. I'm going to scroll down to calculus. Maybe not everybody's first choice, but it is the course that I taught the longest when I was an AP teacher, so I'm partial to calculus. I promise to not dwell on any mathematics here for any length of period of time. So we're going to log into AP Classroom, and the first place that you're going to be taken is the home page. And I don't want to spend a lot of time orienting folks here, especially if you are not new to AP Classroom. You're probably well aware of how this homepage works, but I do want to point out that our AP Classroom team has very much been working on things like quick tips and a help menu. So this is actually pretty new. In fact, if I click on quick tips here, there will be things like, how do I use AP Daily? How do I assign topic questions? How do I use the unit guide? All of these things can be accessed on this page. So the quick tips will tell you something about what is happening on this page. If you want a little bit more of a robust explanation of particular features or what icons are on each individual page, I really would encourage you to visit our help menu. And the help menu has different guides, frequently asked questions, a student guide, a teacher guide. If you click on the teacher guide, it is no longer a really lengthy PDF like it was last year. It was revamped to really kind of provide teachers with a click-through experience here so that you can do things like welcome to AP Classroom. I could go to the AP Classroom homepage and I can really get a screenshot of what is going on in AP Classroom. I can go to the progress checks and see a little bit more about how to assign them here. So there's a lot going on with all annotations of screenshots so that you do have a visual experience to go by. I will tell our administrators and our teachers that if any of these features are a little fuzzy for you or you want to learn a little bit more, there are several quick start videos that are here. And everything from just a general overview of AP Classroom to using several key features, to using the question bank, managing assessments, etc. So we try to keep them as short as possible. They are pretty much all under 5 minutes. We try to keep them no longer than 2 or 3 minutes. So it's a really quick way to get a click-through version of how to use some of our resources. If you are, I'm not going to go in here, but if you are interested in seeing what your students see, I would really recommend looking at the student version of this help menu. There are lots of screenshots here that can show you what students would see on their computer or on a cell phone so that you don't have to be guessing about what they see. Their view is a little bit different from the teacher view and from the administrator view. They have things like to-do cards at the top of their home page. And so if you wanted to learn a little bit more about that and get a sense of how you can communicate with your students about how to use AP Classroom, I would totally suggest taking a look here as well. I do want to now dive into what the resources are here. And there's a lot happening. What we did do is kind of keep the top half of this page as minimal as possible so that teachers really just get common announcements about what is new in AP Classroom. But as a result of that, this unit structure, unit tab system has been elevated in a particular way that allows teachers to see right away the information that is available. I do want to point out that the unit structure is very, very well aligned with the CED. CED, that's the course and exam description, or the binder that's available. And you can actually download parts of the CED, like the unit guide for Unit 1, through clicking through AP Classroom. So you don't have to worry about having it up in the background. In fact, even just clicking on one of the topics will automatically bring up the topic page for that particular topic in the course. It will jump you directly to that topic page so that you can see the essential required content for that particular topic. So you can see that you can scroll all the way through here and see the topics for this course. We've brought over the suggested number of instructional period and the exam weighting for that unit. The exam weighting really tells you how much of the multiple choice section of the AP exam comes from the content and skills of this particular unit. But we know you are most interested in what is on the side over here. And I do want to point out that all of these resources are going to be very much unit and topic specific. If you want to see any like course specific resources, you would want to look at the course tab. And I do want to point out that some of these course tabs are a little bit more robust than others. If there are ancillary resources for your course, like let's say you teach US government and politics, and maybe you've heard of our analytical reading activities that help students get through and parse through the required documents for that course. We have sort of like a workbook, a set of activities that students can use, that teachers can use to help digest some of that more complex language in those documents, and those would be linked on this particular page, right? Science courses, you're going to have lab manual things linked on this page. Calculus doesn't have that many course level resources like that we have other things for this course, but you can download the course and exam description. I do want to point out that there is a full listing of AP daily videos available here. As they become available, this list will be expanded, but you can see that we have listed every single video, what the video focus is, who the instructor was, what topic it is aligned to, so that you don't have to go clicking through every single little thing. In AP Classroom, on the unit tab, you can get a really nice summary here of all of the AP daily videos that are available. For calculus, only Unit 1 is currently available. We anticipate that Unit 2 will be released around September 28th, so the very end of this month. And we will tell teachers on or around October 1st what the schedule is to release the remaining videos for the remaining units. So that is one thing on this page. I also want to point out that as part of the AP Daily experience, one thing that we are making available to students and teachers are what we call faculty lectures. These are lectures that are aligned to the course and the units that are given by actual professors from higher ed institutions across the country. And they are giving a university style lecture on content that is related to the content that students would have studied in a particular unit. I will point out that sometimes that content may be slightly outside the scope of the course, but they are meant to be enrichment purposes. So if you do have students who are really interested in a particular course and or need a little bit more challenge, I would totally suggest that you point them to these faculty lectures. We will continue to populate them for every unit of the course as they become available. So back to the unit tabs, I will point out here that every every topic is going to have a series of AP daily videos. Usually that is going to be anywhere from 1 to 3 videos per topic. There are a couple of courses that may fall outside that rule. You'll see it when you log in. But for the most part, you'll see anywhere from 1 to 3 videos here. Some topics, you know, the instructors who did this didn't feel like 3 videos were necessary, right? And sometimes 1 was more than enough to get the information across. And in other cases, you will have 3 videos for a particular course. Let me show you what this looks like, right? You can assign an AP daily video, or you can make it so that students, students can actually see these videos even if you don't assign them to them. And teachers will be able to see which students have watched and which students have not. Administrators will be able to see whether or not these have been assigned to courses and whether or not teachers are making use of them or not. So let me click here. This is 1.3 daily video 1. And if I click, what I'm going to see is a player that's brought up. You will see that it has the topic, it has that description of what this is about. By the way, let me go back for a second. If you didn't have this list up of what the daily videos were, you could actually just hover over the video and name, and you will be able to read the description of the daily video. So you can decide whether or not you want to assign all 3. If you only want to assign 1, it really depends on how you're using these AP daily videos, right? Are you actually making students watch them ahead of your instruction? Are you making them watch it after your instruction? Are they watching it instead of your instruction? Maybe you're using them as remediation after students have taken the progress check and need to hone in on particular content and skills. Maybe you're slightly ahead of us at this point in the school year, and you're going to be using these as a means to review. So how you do this is really going to be up to you, but I should mention that students will be able to watch the videos on their own time, even if you don't assign them. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to click on this video, and you'll see the player is brought up. You will see a couple of things that are happening here. You'll see how long the video is. This one's a little bit on the longer side, roughly around 10 minutes a piece or so. Our world language courses are a little bit longer. They're about 15 minutes or so. But some really cool things about this: you can really just hit play, and you can kind of get a sense of what the teacher will be talking about if you fast forward through it. We have closed captioning available, and a full screen view, so I could make this full screen if I wanted to get a better view. Hit escape to exit that. The closed captioning will bring up closed captioning at the bottom for students who would like to kind of follow along in that way. But the really awesome thing that comes along with this is that if you click on it, you will get a full transcript of the video itself, and the transcript is searchable. So if I really wanted to search for a particular term, let's say I wanted to see where the word limit came up in this particular video, it will not only tell me how many times that happens. It's a whopping 29. I'm not surprised, since that's what this video is about. And all of those instances will be highlighted. I can actually click on that instance, and the video will jump to that point in the actual video where this word is being said. So you'll see right now, like if I click that, I'm going to be jumped right there. If I scroll down and I go toward the end of the video, I can click here and I can see where that is in the video. So if you have students who like to read a little bit more and that's how they digest information, this might be a helpful tool for them rather than just listening. So one of the other things that I can do is assign this to my students. I can hit assign, and I can pick which courses. I have 2 AP calculus courses, classes, sections here. Maybe I only want to assign it to my period 1 class because they're ahead for whatever reason. So I can unclick period 5 if I want. I can click assign, and it will actually tell me that this video has now been assigned. Once a video has been assigned, you will see this arrow come up right next to the video. So I can, it's a reminder to me that I've assigned daily video 1 for this section topic 1.3 to my students, but I've not yet assigned the other 2. You can see that I've assigned some videos already to my students. Excuse me. And once students start watching the videos, I want to show you how teachers can track who is watching. So you will notice that there's this extra information up here in the right hand corner. This information did not come up when I previously assigned the topic for 1.3 because I just assigned it and students hadn't watched it yet. But what I can do is once students have started watching, I can click here and I can see that I've assigned this to my period 1 class because there's an arrow here. There are 15 students who have not yet watched it and 1 student who has. So because this 1 student watched, I was able to get a percentage here, some statistics about the number of students watching. I can actually also expand this and I can see which students have watched and which students haven't. If you are teaching in an online environment, this actually may help you take attendance if participating in something has actually earned students their attendance for the day. This can help you kind of figure out whether or not students have participated in the way that they need to. I don't have any students in my period 5 class just yet, so I'm not surprised to see anybody not having watched there. But if a student had watched in my period 5 class, it would still come up here, even though I had not assigned this to my period 5 class specifically. I do want to say that administrators will be able to see how many students, but they won't be able to see the individual students. We're leaving that as a teacher view at the current moment. But you will be able to see if students and teachers are using the AP Daily videos. So that kind of really wraps up AP Daily in a lot of ways. It's a good segue for me to kind of go over to topic questions because we know that teachers may have used topic questions last year in a variety of different ways. We also know that these questions were a little bit more of a conundrum to some teachers. They didn't always understand exactly what they were used for. I think now that we have AP Daily videos, they might make a little bit more sense. So the daily videos really concentrate on the content and skill of this particular topic. So this particular topic is linked with a particular skill. I can click on the skill and actually read what that skill is. And the daily video is really meant to not only give students instruction on the content, but also get them to engage in this skill in a particular way. So what we wanted to do is, if the instruction here is concentrated on this topic skill pairing, is that we really wanted to give teachers a means by which to assess student understanding of that content skill pairing. These existed last year where we had said to teachers, we're really trying to suggest that as you're teaching the content here, you also teach this skill so that you're not seeing skill instruction as something separate from content instruction. And I think maybe that the use of the topic questions got used a little bit more from a content perspective, but I do want to make sure that both teachers and administrators understand that these topic questions were specifically designed to address both the content and the skill that is here. So when I click on the topic questions, I will be taken to the question bank. And I do want to point out that the question bank houses does house summative AP exam questions, right? So whether it was from a practice exam or a released exam, uh, you're going to find those questions in the question bank. And we know that that's largely what teachers have been using if they've been teaching AP for a while as they go through the course to help their students get a sense of the level of challenge and rigor that they'll experience on the AP exam. But the question bank also houses our formative topic questions. And the really cool part about clicking on that topic questions link is that it's going to take me to the question bank already pre-filtered for the things that align these questions to that topic skill pairing. So in other words, it is already pre-filtered for topic 1.1, skill 2B, the fact that I wanted the formative questions, and sometimes there may be other things that are pre-selected here. Calculus teachers will know that Unit 1 is both on the AB and BC test, and so that's why this is coming up here. And then you will see these questions indicated by the same light bulb icon that you saw on the home page. In fact, if you click on that, it's going to tell you the topic that is a topic question and that they are formative and they are meant to check student understanding as you teach the topic, right? These are not necessarily meant to be given as, you know, questions that are actually, let me rephrase. They are not meant to be given as assessments that you would then score for accuracy and put in your grade book, right? These are questions like you would use as a means to check for understanding. Think of them as like an exit slip or a homework check or something like this. So even though we may say add these questions to a quiz, we'll use this term quiz loosely. It's nice and short and sweet rather than writing out assessment or assignment several times. But remember, like these questions are really meant to check for student understanding. In fact, in some cases, you can preview the question. You may look at them as teachers and you may say that, you know, the level of challenge of this question doesn't necessarily feel like the same type of question that the kids would see on the AP exam. And our typical response to that is absolutely yes, thank you for noticing. We did that by design, right? So the idea here is that the topic questions are meant to meet students where they are at a particular point in the school year. This is topic 1.1. It is the first topic in the course. I'm not really going to expect students to be able to answer a full-fledged AP style question or a question from a past exam on the first or second day of school, right? And the same thing for Unit 1, right? Now, no matter what course you teach, right, even if we're talking about US history, let's say, I wouldn't expect students to be able to write a full-fledged document-based question response at the end of Unit 1 just because I finished teaching all of colonialism, right? Unless I've taught them all of the skills they need to be able to write that essay. So I do want to point out that these questions are made to get at very specific things. In fact, this particular math question is not actually asking students to find the answer. They're asking them, how would you find the answer, right? So the students don't actually even need to calculate anything. They just need to figure out which one of these things would be the actual way you would go about finding the answer. And that's really helpful for me as a teacher because if this just said find the answer, and a student gets it wrong, I don't really know why they got it wrong. Did they get it wrong because they didn't know what the question was asking? They didn't know what they needed to do. They knew what they needed to do, but made a mistake along the way. They just made some sort of arithmetic error. There's a whole bunch of reasons. But I do know that if the student can't even figure out what to do, they're not going to be able to carry through and find the actual final answer. And so this question as a topic question, as a formative question, allows me to understand, can the students at least get this far? Because if they can get this far, then I can push forward to get them through to a final answer. I know we can move forward. But if they can't even get this far, then I need to backtrack, because if they can't get this far, they're not going to be able to carry all the way through. And so I wanted to use this as an analogy to make sure that teachers and administrators understand why we created the topic questions to be the way that they are, and why we consider them more formative, and why you should be using these questions much earlier on in the year, rather than just going to the question bank and looking for every single question on colonialism just because you happen to teach that, or looking for every single question on limits because I finished chapter 1 or unit 1 in calculus. So these have been very, very thoughtful about how we constructed them. And the other thing to point out is that if you expand this question scoring and details panel on the side, you will see a lot more information about the question itself. You'll also be able to see the correct answer, and you'll be able to see the rationales that students are able to see. So that even if students had picked the wrong answer here, they'll be able to not only see the rationale as to why that answer choice was incorrect, but they'll also be able to click here and they'll be able to see this was the correct answer, and this is the reason why the correct answer was. Um, so I'm cognizant of time. I do want to push forward a little bit. I'm going to go back to our home screen, and I'm going to say, you know, for some courses, calculus being one of them, world history being other, there may be other ancillary resources here. There may be things like handouts that we've created in the past that you may consider using with students. These were created by other AP teachers, and we've made these available to teachers should they want an additional resource to use with their students. They don't exist for every course, but I do want to point that out, that if you see that here, that that they may be available. Once I'm finished teaching the unit, maybe I've used the AP Daily videos. Hopefully I've used the topic questions to assess student understanding of the topics and skills along the way. I have the personal progress checks at the bottom. As you can see, Calculus Unit 1 is a very, very long unit. So the personal progress checks are actually broken up into several parts, so that if you are intending to give these to students in a quote classroom setting, whether that's in person or online, and you only have 45 minutes to have that quote class, each one of these sections can be completed in 45 minutes. If you have a longer time with students, or you're going to assign these asynchronously, you can assign more than one of them at the same time. I'm not going to go through all of the button pushing about how you assign these. It's very similar to how you assign topic questions. Also, there are videos available. If we go back really quickly, I seem to have lost my tab. Let's see. Still here? There we go. If we go back quickly to the help menu, I can actually go and see, how do I assign topic questions? How do I unlock a PPC? So again, go to that help menu. You can get a little bit more information here about how to uh, do the mechanics of actually assigning these things. I do want to say that the personal progress checks were formed in the exact same way that the topic questions were formed. So that means that there are questions on the progress checks that are going to assess the content of a particular topic paired with the skill of that particular topic. It's just that instead of only having like 1 or 2 questions, like there are going to be around 3 questions per every single topic skill pairing. So you can see that for calculus, if there were 3 questions for every single topic skill pairing at 16 topics for unit 1, you're talking about 48 multiple choice questions that will now be broken up across 3 different parts of the MCQ, of the progress check. So again, you may notice that the progress checks, especially in the earlier units, are not necessarily in the same level of rigor as the AP exam. Kids are not going to see what's 2 times 2. They're not going to say who was the first president of the United States. They are going to be within the scope of the course. They just may be at an emerging level to a more proficient or intermediate level that at the very beginning of the course. But I assure you that as you continue through the course, by the time you get to the last portion of the course, and for calculus maybe that would be unit 6, 7, 8, those topic questions and those personal progress check questions are going to start to feel a lot more like AP exam questions, because students will have learned more content, more skill, and they will have the equipment that they need to be able to answer those more rigorous questions. What we're not going to do is give students a question in September that was made to be given in May after students have learned all of the course content and skills, because we shouldn't then be surprised if students perform poorly on those questions if we haven't equipped them with the tools that they need. And the tools are both content and skill. So just because you taught something about imperialism doesn't mean you taught students how to provide evidence that refutes a claim, let's say, which is a very complex skill in our history courses. So I want to kind of point that out, that you should really be looking at both content and skill when you're doing this.
Claire?
Yeah.
One of the things I was hoping that you might be able to also add as you're talking specifically around
Mhm.
the sequencing of how the tools and resources work, and the scaffolding of skill and content, because some of the concern has also been raised, well, we may not have enough time to get through the entire content, and given everything that's happening, and given how we've outlined everything and made it very transparent and very clear, how would you also suggest that, the best utilization of the videos and the skills and tools, because it's all there. We just need to be able to help folks be able to understand how they can transition and progress, and not feel that they're really falling behind, that there are places that you can catch up. There are lots of things that can be done within the system that has been built.
Yep. So that's a great question, Hoor. I think, and just to make sure I give other folks a little bit of love here, like if I do go to US history, um, I, oh, and you will see in certain courses, the Unit 2 videos have already become available. Calculus isn't one of them yet, but we do have a batch that did become available as of yesterday. And so you will, if your course is one of them, you will get this nice little pop-up. So US history teachers, you're in luck. Your Unit 2 videos are ready to go. I'm going to close this for a minute. I will point out here that one of the really awesome things is that we have, as Hoar pointed out, taken away the time and effort that you would normally have to spend as a teacher or an administrator, like figuring out when do I teach which skills in a course. And you'll see in this particular course of US history that our unit 1 really has a nice alignment of like what we would consider more foundational skills. You're going to see a lot of what I call A skills in this particular unit. They are the first skills in their respective categories. So like the category is in bold and the actual skill itself is in non-bolded font underneath it. But you're going to see something like as simple as like 1A, right? Like in history, can I identify a historical concept, development, or process, right? Do I know what is happening? This is literally probably the most basic skill in the course. And so I do want to point out that we've given students not only the multiple opportunities to practice a particular skill, not only within a unit if we can, but also in multiple units. But we've tried to progress the skills or scaffold the skills in a way that allows you to not have to think about when am I going to teach this particular skill. So like you'll notice as I start to go through, once I get to unit 2, I'm going to still see A skills, but I start to see B skills pop up as well, right? As I get to unit 3, I'm going to see A, more B, a lot more B than what I saw before. I go to unit 4 and here's some A, there's some B. Oh, and here's like a D now. So we're getting to the more complex skills. And then by the time I get to unit 9, right, we're going to still see some repetition of those more foundational skills because it's good to practice them, but you're going to also see like there's a lot more C and D here as well. So I do want to point out that, you know, yes, you are free to teach the course in whatever order you would like. But if you are making use of all of our resources, I do want to point out that the beauty of doing so is that we've made sure that things progress in a scaffolded manner, and that when we are doing things like designing topic questions and designing daily videos, that these resources are aligned to that progression as much as possible. If you are teaching a course where our unit 9 is your unit 1, you're going to have a little bit more difficulty in using some of the resources because there will be a level of expectation that students have that the questions have in terms of what students know in terms of course content and skills. That doesn't mean you can't use the resources, but I do want to, you know, give that as a warning. You said, how can we save time, Hoor? I think that there's opportunity with the daily videos for some of these uh, topics where you may have spent more than one day and you maybe only have one day to spend on a topic. You do the must-have information in the class time that you do have with students, and you assign them the daily videos to kind of round out that instruction, right? The daily videos are not meant to replace the teacher. We know that you know your students the best. There is no substitute for the care and consideration that you're going to have for the individual needs of your students in your course. And we know that those needs change from student to student, from class to class, from school to school, district to district, etc. We can't account for all of that. What we tried to do here was to say that if you are in a bind and you need some help supplementing your instruction because you need to figure out what your students are going to be doing on B days when you see cohort 3 and
Yeah.
all of these wild schedules that schools are
Yeah.
dealing with right now, we have resources so that you aren't losing this precious time that you have with students. You can keep up with your curriculum by
Mhm.
either doing the instruction yourself or allowing the daily videos to do the instruction for you. And then you can use those topic questions to really, and the progress checks, to figure out where are students still struggling, and that if you are going to spend extra time, that you're really targeting that extra time to the places where students have demonstrated the need, right? So like as I kind of go over to some of the assessments that I may assign, once I actually have topic questions, you'll see here that I've assigned the 1.2 topic questions to my period 1 class. I will have data, right? I'll know how students are performing. I'll be able to click on this data and I will be able to see individual
Mhm.
student results. I'll be able to click into a topic quiz that I gave and look at individual question results. I
Yeah.
can look at my student chart, and I can even say something as simple as, hey, let me, you know, this second question, students did fairly well. This third question, not so much so. Maybe I really need to go over this third question. But the one thing that stands out to me the most about this is that even for the you know, the good chunk of students who got this question incorrect, every single student knew that C was not the answer. No one picked C. So I know here that I don't need to spend time going over with my students why C is not the answer. And maybe I just need to have a conversation with Mary and Stacy about why D is the answer. But there's something about A where there's a misunderstanding that my students have that tell me just from looking at this data that I need to explain why A is not the answer, right? So this is information that's really helpful for me to have. I can get that information also on the question level. In fact, I can see again that no students picked C here, and I can also see which students picked the incorrect answer, right? So I get a sense of there's Stacy and Mary again, right? And then I can
Mhm.
see how many students did this. And, and and this again will help me save time with my students and my instruction. There's no reason for me to go over why C is not the answer, right? Maybe there's not even a reason, too much of a reason for me to go over why D is not the answer. But there's something I need to fix with my content instruction here, or maybe I determine it's a skill issue. Probably not, but you know, I need to do a little bit of digging in order to figure that out. And then likewise, as you give the progress checks, you'll be able to see the progress dashboard results. And I know we're running out of time, but I do want to say here that you'll be able to see this at a section level. You'll be able to expand this and see at a student level. And Hoor, since you did mention about making sure we address the administrator audience here, if you are a school-based administrator, you will be able to use the menus that are here to drill down into a particular teacher, or you can see all of your teachers at one time. You can drill down into a particular teacher, a particular section, a particular a set of students within that section. If you are a district level administrator, you will be able to do the same, but also drill down by school. So you can see right now, this is a teacher access, so I can't actually click in here to change anything because I am one teacher in Trevor Packer High School that is part of example district, right? So I do want to kind of point out that you will have more options here if you are at a higher level within your district. You can also go back and look at 2019, 2020 data. So something that might be helpful here is to see, especially if you're an administrator, to see at the very least, is usage improving, right? We can't help teachers get the data that they need unless they are using the resources that are available. We are working on additional reporting so that administrators will be able to see uh, uh, usage for other resources like the daily videos and things like that, all in one dashboard to come soon. I will add here really quickly that there is an export option, and that teachers and school administrators will be able to download now an Excel version of what is in the progress dashboard. Again, the progress checks are not made to be used for grade, and oops, that is the wrong thing. It looks like this. So even though we are giving you the percent correct on any given progress checked, this is really for informative purposes only. This is not something that is meant to be put into a student grade book, but we know that teachers are having a lot of conversations in PLCs and vertical and horizontal planning meetings, etc. And we wanted you to have this data so that those conversations are a little bit more meaningful. I know we are pretty much at
Yeah,
time. I'm not
thanks,
sure I
thanks,
really
Claire.
gave enough time for
Yeah, no,
questions,
it's
but
yeah, no,
I
I
could
think
go
this has
on
been,
forever.
of course, it has been super helpful. And I think the big takeaway here is that our whole goal in developing all these tools is to allow the beauty of what AP is, allow the teachers to continue to teach, do what they do. And what we were hoping to create, and what Claire and her team have been working on, is to create the best tools available for teachers to be able to access, plan, and provide the best quality education to their students. And we're very grateful that teachers are continuing to push forward with AP, but given all the circumstances that everyone's working with and dealing with currently, we hope that these tools and resources will really be a great benefit to allow teachers to continue to do what they do every day in the classroom, but give them more information, a deeper background into the sense of where kids are, where their learning is, to ultimately for students to be successful when they sit and take their AP exams in May. And that's our goal, and we will continue to build more tools, more programs, refine what we have So Claire, thank you so much for coming in this morning and really providing a very thorough and in-depth background of these tools that we've developed this year and will continue to build forward as the year unfolds. Doug, we'll
Of
turn it back over to
course.
you.
Yeah, of course. I just want to say thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm pretty passionate about this stuff, as you can see. So hopefully we've got the right level of detail for folks. If there's something that we neglected to talk about, please let your folks know. They'll get us the questions, and we'll try to get you the information that you need. But otherwise, thank you. Thanks for having me. Please stay safe and well. Good luck. We know it's a really tough, unprecedented kind of year, and you all are amazing. So thank you for all you do day in and day out.
Claire and Hoor, we appreciate you from the state of Missouri, and we'll reach out to you if we have any further questions. We'll communicate through Mark, and thank you again, and we'll be seeing you hopefully soon.
Absolutely.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much.
Good
Have
luck
a great
to everyone.
rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.